Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Saturday, May the 1st. We got a big Saturday slate. We got a lot of games. Normally, we don't have this many games on a Saturday, but we got a 10-gamer to go through. We're going to talk about each of these 10 games like we always do. I'll give you guys my early thoughts. What does stand out to me looking at this Saturday slate, taking a first look on Friday night. So before we get started with the breakdown, as always, guys, I would appreciate it if you would click that like button down below. And if you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well. Also hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Now, since it is the weekend, I probably won't be live streaming this afternoon. Normally I don't stream on the weekend. I might go live just randomly, but probably won't be live this weekend. But yeah, guys, I want to still get content up. I do still want to post videos, even though I'm not going to be able to stream. I want to give you guys my early thoughts on this Saturday slate. So yeah, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at this the Detroit and Charlotte game. We'll start off with this one. Looking on the Pistons side today, we basically have the scenario that we've been getting recently, where Pistons are going to be resting the same guys. It seems like they rest like basically every other game. The Pistons are going to rest Grant, Plumlee, Joseph. At least it seems like that. That's going to be the case today. No Jeremy Grant, no Mason Plumlee, no Corey Joseph, Wayne Ellington, Rodney McGruder, Jahlil Okafor, Dennis Smith Jr. are also out. So Hamidou Diallo is doubtful as well. So with Diallo doubtful, that leaves the Pistons with, I believe, 10 healthy bodies, if I'm not mistaken. 6, 7, 8, 9. So maybe 9 healthy bodies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, 9 healthy bodies. So Detroit's actually going to be a little bit short-handed here. Normally this is a team that runs a pretty deep rotation, but they're obviously not going to be able to do that today with only 9 bodies. So we should expect, a little bit more than probably 30 minutes. Like Isaiah Stewart normally plays about 28 to 30 minutes whenever Plumlee's out. There's a good chance he gets a few more today. Same with all these other guys. So, Isaiah Stewart at 6,500, I definitely have interest in. He's been really good whenever he started in place of Plumlee. Last game he started in place of Plumlee, played 29 minutes, had 43 DK points. The price tag's starting to get up there, but we've obviously seen that Isaiah Stewart has the upside when he does get the minutes, and I would expect the minutes to be there, especially without Plumlee and without Jahlil Okafor. So definitely like Isaiah Stewart. I think Josh Jackson at 6K is also rosterable. Now, at his price tag, I'm not as high on him, but he should get more minutes here, especially if Diallo's out. That definitely should give Josh Jackson probably at least 28 to 30 minutes. Don't mind him either. Then you have Saddiq Bey at 5,200. Definitely have interest in Saddiq Bey here. I would say that he's probably, him and Isaiah Stewart, I think are my 2 favorite plays from Detroit. Saddiq Bey played 34 minutes last game. He's been a guy that's always played pretty big minutes, and he should continue to get big minutes with all these guys out for the Pistons. So definitely like Saddiq Bey as well at 5,200. And then you have a guy like Killian Hayes at 4,600. Now, Killian Hayes did not have that good of a game last game, but he did play 30 minutes, only had 22 DK points, but the minutes were there. The minutes should continue to be there for him. Like I said, his price I feel like he's probably priced appropriately, maybe a little bit too cheap. I think Bey and Stewart, though, are the 2 guys I really like from Detroit. Frank Jackson, you could maybe go to as well, 3,900. He played 27 minutes off the bench last game, probably gets close to 30 minutes off the bench again. You could maybe go there. Sekou did start last game. He played 29 minutes. He wasn't very productive, but you're getting a guy that's going to start, probably play around 30 minutes for 3,100, so you really can't go wrong with him. I'm sure probably better value is going to open up as the day goes on, but, even Sekou could be viable. I don't think I'm going to go to Tyler Cook or Saben Lee or Serveus, though, so really the first 6 guys that we talked about are the ones that I'm most interested in, and I would say the starters, probably minus Sekou, so Stewart, Jackson, Bey, Hayes. Definitely Stewart and Bey are my 2 favorites from Detroit, but there's a lot to like from this Pistons team. They are very short-handed here. Only 9 available bodies today, so they're going to run a pretty tight rotation. You should expect big minutes for basically all the starters, I would assume. So I think that does it for the Detroit side. Now, looking at Charlotte here, talking about the Hornets, not as much I like on Charlotte. There is a chance that LaMelo Ball is able to return today. Right now, he's listed as questionable. If he does return, I assume he'll be on some sort of minutes limit, but with his return, that makes me less interested in guys like Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham. Really wouldn't want to go to them. Cody Martin would probably move back to the bench. I don't exactly know what they're going to do with the starting lineup, but maybe that would impact a guy like Cody Martin. Regardless, I don't see a ton that stands out from Charlotte here. Miles Bridges has been playing really well. He's been starting, getting big minutes. I think the return of LaMelo is going to hurt him a little bit, so I don't know if I really want to pay $7,300 for him. Same with Rozier, same with Devontae Graham. PJ Washington, I don't think his role changes that much. He's going to start, continue to get big minutes. If you want to go to him at $6,700, I don't mind that, but I think if LaMelo plays today, there really isn't much I like from Charlotte here. LaMelo himself is very affordable, but I assume he'll be on some sort of limit, so I doubt we can even go to him at $6,900. Really, my main interest in this game, definitely coming on the Detroit side, because Detroit definitely shorthanded today. They're going to be a team we do want to target for sure. Malik Monk, I think, also has a chance to return. If he does return, that just makes me even less interested in these backcourt guys. So we can go ahead and move on to the next one, talk about Golden State and Houston. So in Golden State today, we already know that the regulars like James Wiseman, Damian Lee, Clay, obviously going to be out. Draymond Green, though, is currently questionable. I believe Kelly Oubre is also questionable. Yeah, so Draymond and Kelly Oubre are both questionable. Assuming that they play, Steph Curry in tournaments, I think you could go to at $10,600. There's going to be other studs I prefer over Curry today. Like we have Jokic on this slate. I would rather play Jokic. I think there's some other studs that, we'll talk about, like Karl Anthony Towns in a good matchup against the Pelicans. I like him a good amount. You have Luka, you have Westbrook, so I don't think I'm going to play Curry today. I know Curry's been really good, but Curry's just a guy that I rarely roster. I haven't played him much at all this season. He's just so scoring dependent that his upside and his floor, he still obviously has massive upside, but his floor is definitely not as high as guys like Jokic, Towns, who can, contribute so much with peripherals, especially like Jokic and Westbrook. I mean, even on their bad nights, you're getting 50 plus from Jokic and Westbrook, whereas Curry, we've seen him bottom out and put up 45, 40 at times. He had that bad game against Dallas, only 36 DK points. I just don't think I'm going to go to Curry today. There's other studs I'd rather go to. Draymond Green, if he plays, I do have interest in at $7,200, just because I think Draymond remains a little bit too cheap for the upside he has. If he plays like 36 minutes here, we know Draymond can go out there and put up a triple-double any night. Definitely my favorite play from the Warriors. Kelly Oubre is a kind of important injury. Keep an eye on that. If he's out again, I would assume Kent Bazemore would start. Kent Bazemore did play 33 minutes last game with Kelly Oubre out. I would assume that if Oubre's out again, we get similar run from Kent Bazemore. The price tag came up a little bit, but he would still be viable at $4,600. But I think that probably does it for the Warriors today. So moving on to the Houston side, looking at the Rockets here. The Rockets do, remain pretty short-handed. I'm pretty sure this team right now, they only have I think 9 bodies right now. Avery Bradley's listed as questionable. I guess if he were to play, that would maybe give them 10. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so if Avery Bradley plays, they have 9 bodies, or Jeffries, I guess, will give them 10. So they have 9 bodies if Bradley is out. They have 10 if Bradley plays. But we should expect big minutes from the starters. Basically, all the starters from Houston have been playing big minutes lately. So Christian Wood, Kevin Porter, Kelly Olynyk, Jayshawn Tate, Armani Brooks, they should all get big minutes. I think my main interest from Houston comes from these top 4 guys. Do any of them stand out as priority options for me? I don't think so. But these are guys I'm fine getting to as my last guy in. I'm fine playing them in tournaments as lower owned options. Christian Wood, we know, has massive upside on a nightly basis. He's put up 50-plus in 3 straight games. He's played monster minutes in 3 straight games. Good matchup here against the Warriors. If this game stays close, I think we do get probably 36 to 40 minutes from Christian Wood. At $8,700, I don't mind paying this price for him just because we know he can go out there and put up 50 DK points any night. Kevin Porter, obviously coming off a massive game where he went for 78 Draftkings points. I don't think we can expect that again, but we know that Kevin Porter does benefit without John Wall, and with John Wall done for the season, we're going to get a lot of big games from Kevin Porter, rest of season. Now, this is probably going to be someone that's pretty inconsistent. You don't exactly know when he's going to put up that big game, but the opportunity is going to be there for him. He's going to play monster minutes, should have the ball in his hands a lot. I'm fine going to him as a last guy in or a tournament option. Kelly Olynyk just continues to play super well. He's been really good, getting huge minutes, played nearly 40 minutes last game, had 53 DK points. $7,300 feels expensive for Kelly Olynyk, but with how well he's played, hard not to consider him, given that he's put up 47 DK points in 4 straight games. And then Jayshawn Tate, probably my least favorite of the 3, but another guy that's going to play monster minutes, 38 minutes last game, 40 minutes the game before that. Good matchup here against the Warriors. Should be a relatively fast-paced game. Don't mind Tate either. But outside of those 4 guys, I don't see too much else I like on Houston. Armani Brooks is going to start, but he's just not a very productive player. Doesn't really give you much upside. I don't think I really want to go to any of these guys off the bench. Like KJ Martin at $4K, I don't really like at that price. Don't really want to go to DJ Wilson or Anthony Lamb or Bradley if he plays. So really, it's Wood, Porter, and Olynyk. My 3 main guys I'm targeting from Houston. Don't mind Tate either, but those top 3 guys are the ones I'm really interested in. But moving on to the next game, talking about the Bulls and the Hawks. So looking at the Bulls today, this is a back-to-back for Chicago, so keep an eye on that. I assume everyone does play here, but worth noting since it is a back-to-back, the later you get in the season, the more you're going to see just random guys resting. Definitely when teams are on back-to-backs, there is a good chance you do see some rest. I don't know if that's going to be the case with the Bulls today, but it could be the case with some other teams. At the top, though, you have Vucevic for 10,100. Kind of similar to Curry. I don't think Vuce is going to be someone I really prioritize at the top today when you have Jokic, you have Towns, you have Westbrook, you have Luka. There's just other studs I prefer over Vooch. If I had to play anyone on Chicago, I think it would be Kobe White. 6,500, feels about right for Kobe White. The price tag he feels priced appropriately. It's not like he's too cheap. He's not too expensive, though. He can give you a good score for 6,500. Does he stand out as a top play at this price tag? No. But I think Kobe White's definitely viable. I like him a bit more on Yahoo. If you do play over there, Kobe White's only $20 on Yahoo, so I would probably be a lot more likely to play him on Yahoo, but really there's not much I like from Chicago. Lauri Markkanen did get ruled out Friday. I don't think that really changes too much, but with him out, if he is out again, you probably could see more minutes for Thaddeus Young, more minutes for Daniel Tice, a few more minutes for Patrick Williams. I don't know if I'd really go to any of those guys, like Thad Young, or Patrick Williams. He played 35 minutes on Friday night, but he only had 16 fantasy points. He got big minutes, but just wasn't very productive. Thad Young, he wound up playing 18 minutes. He only had 24 fantasy points. And then Daniel Tice, he wound up playing 25 minutes and had 28 fantasy points. If Markkanen's out again, Daniel Tice would probably be my favorite option, but really no standout plays from Chicago today. And on the Atlanta side, it's kind of the same thing. You have Trae Young at the top for 9,300. Trae Young did play Friday. It was his first game back from injury. He only played 28 minutes, though. It was a blowout, so I assume that's probably the reason he didn't play as much. But just keep an eye on this. There's no guarantee that Trae Young plays today. They could rest him on the back-to-back, but assuming that he does play and he's not limited, you could obviously go to Trae Young today. At 9,300, that's pretty cheap for him. Normally, we see him priced around 10K. I think you are getting a little bit of a discount off of him from what he normally would be priced at. But on a big slate, 10 games, a lot of stud options. There's other pay-ups I prefer over Trae Young today. I don't like anything from Atlanta either. Bogdan Bogdanovic was out again Friday night, excuse me. But even with him out, I don't think that really changes too much. Lou Williams didn't play that much off the bench. Neither did Brandon Goodwin. Goodwin he only played 9 minutes. Lou Will, I think, only played 20 minutes. 22 minutes. They did start Tony Snell and Solomon Hill with Trae Young and then Collins and Capella. But I'm not going to play Tony Snell or Solomon Hill. Tony Snell played 24 minutes, had 18 fantasy points. Solomon Hill played 36 minutes, only had 15 fantasy points. I really just don't like anything from Atlanta. If I had to play a Hawk today, it probably would be Trae Young. But I don't think I'm really considering any other Hawks on this slate. So moving on to the next game, looking at the Heat here. The Heat are relatively fully healthy today. No Oladipo, no Tyler Hero. They have everyone else, though. With Oladipo and Hero out, that does free up some minutes in the backcourt. We should see more minutes for guys like Goran Dragic, Kendrick Nunn. If I was going to play anyone on Miami today, it probably would be one of those two guys. Kendrick Nunn, continues to get massive minutes. He's played at least 34 minutes in 5 straight games. I think the absence of Tyler Hero definitely benefits Kendrick Nunn, but he feels priced appropriately. He doesn't really stand out as a great option at 5,600. If he was 4,600, then I'd be thinking differently, but at 5,600, he kind of feels priced appropriately. And then Goran Dragic is probably going to play anywhere from 28 to 30 minutes off the bench. He's a slightly better point per minute player than Nunn is. I expect Nunn to play more minutes. I expect Dragic to be more productive. You're really kind of flipping a coin between the two. I think Dragic will be the lower owned. I don't think either one are going to get a ton of ownership today. So, Dragic is fine, Nunn's fine, but I'm not going to play Bam or Jimmy on this slate. At least I don't think I will. There's just other pay-up options I like. I really haven't considered Bam or Jimmy in a while. Jimmy at 9,500 I really don't feel like I need to play him at this price. When has Jimmy lately at least broken a slate? I know he had that really good game against Minnesota, but we just haven't seen a massive game from Jimmy Butler to where you need to have him in your lineup at 9,500. When he's 8,500, I think that's when I'm more likely to play Jimmy. He honestly feels a little bit too expensive right now. And then Bam Adebayo, it's kind of the same thing. For him at 9K, just doesn't feel like a guy, or nearly 9K, doesn't feel like a guy I need to play when he's 8,800. He needs to get you 50-plus fantasy points, and He hasn't put up 50-plus fantasy points in 10 straight games. Yeah, I don't think I'm playing any Heat today. If I was going to play anyone on Miami, it would be the two guards, Dragic and Nunn, but neither one stand out at their price points now. Moving on to the Cleveland side, kind of important here on Cleveland, Darius Garland, he did get injured in Friday night's game and he was not able to return. So do keep an eye on this. There is a chance that maybe Darius Garland is out today. If Garland does get ruled out, that benefits Colin Sexton. At 8,100 though, Colin Sexton doesn't really stand out, as a top play at this price point. If he was like 7,100, I would like Sexton a lot, but at 8,100, probably not going to go there even if Garland sits. Jared Allen in a tougher matchup against the Heat, I don't really like. Kevin Love at 6,600 feels priced appropriately. Like, really nothing stands out from Cleveland today. I will mention that if Garland's out and they start, Matthew Dellavedova, well, Dellavedova's out, so I really don't know what they're going to do with the starting lineup then. They probably would just move Sexton down to point guard and then slide Cedi Osman in. So yeah, I just don't really see much from Cleveland. I don't even know if we'd have much value here. Even if Garland gets ruled out, I don't think there really would be any value to go to. Dean Wade doesn't really benefit. Dotson maybe, but I doubt he even sees that many minutes. So Cleveland, not that interesting of a team. Overall, this game I don't have much interest in. So we can go ahead and move on to the next one, talk about Memphis and Orlando. So these teams did play on Friday night. This is a back-to-back for both teams. They're just playing again Saturday. On the Memphis side, I don't really see too much that stands out from Memphis. Jonas Valanciunas is 7,700. I could see getting to. He only played 27 minutes in a blowout against Orlando Friday night, but he was really productive in that time. He did have 41 DK points. This is a really good matchup for J-Val. He should be able to have a ton of success against this pretty bad Orlando defense. So I think Joe Val's in play as a low-owned tournament option. Grayson Allen was out Friday. If he's out again, we can maybe go to someone like Desmond Bane. Bane got into foul trouble on Friday. He only wound up playing 20 minutes, only had 14 DK points, but as long as he can stay out of foul trouble, he probably plays more than 20 minutes, I would assume. He did start in place of Grayson Allen. If Grayson Allen's out again, you could definitely go to Desmond Bane as a value option, but really, I don't see too much that stands out from Memphis here. I think J-Val is my favorite play from Memphis. That's probably it, though. Obviously, it's a back-to-back, so keep an eye on some of this, but I'm assuming Jaren Jackson Jr. will be back. Maybe that hurts J-Val a little bit, but still would have some interest in J-Val in a good matchup. On the Orlando side, though, we do have some potential value from Orlando that we will talk about. Terrence Ross was out Friday. I assume he'll probably be out again. I believe Chuma Okeke is going to be out for a decent amount of time. I think there's a chance. Yeah, he sprained his ankle, so there's a pretty good chance he'll be out again today. And then Otto Porter Jr., MCW remain out. The one guy that I think is appealing from Orlando, assuming that Chuma Okeke is out again, Mo Wagner's only 3,300. He did start in place of Okeke on Friday, and he actually played 28 minutes. Now, he wasn't very productive. He only had 19 DK points. But Wagner, just throughout his time in the NBA with the Wizards, with the small amount of time he was with the Celtics, he's been a relatively productive player when he does get minutes. He used to be with the Lakers as well. So I think if we're going to get 28, 30 minutes from Mo Wagner at 3,300, he is someone that I am considering for value. Now, we'll have to wait and see what value opens up as the day goes on, but if, no standout value opens up, Mo Wagner definitely could be someone worth considering as a cheap punt play, especially if he does start again and Okeke is out. Now, if Okeke plays, I have no interest in Wagner, but obviously that'll be just news we have to wait and see on. But really, I don't see too much I like from Orlando here outside of Wagner if Okeke's out. So moving on to the next game, looking at the Pacers and the Thunder. On the Pacers side, it's tough to really break down this team right now. It feels like basically every slate the Pacers have half their team questionable, and that's once again the case today. Domantas Sabonis is questionable. Malcolm Brogdon is also questionable. Brogdon got injured in their last game, was not able to return. So there is a chance that he could be out today. Then Jeremy Lamb, Goga Bitadze are once again questionable. So just going into this slate, assuming that everyone plays, Sabonis, Brogdon, Lamb, Goga, assuming they all play, I don't see too much I like from the Pacers. If Sabonis is in, Brogdon doesn't really stand out at his price point. LeVert doesn't stand out at his price point. With Sabonis potentially returning, that would definitely hurt both of those guys. That would hurt O'Shea Brissett. I would really have no interest in him. Really, I just don't like anything from this team. I guess Sabonis himself could be viable if he plays, just because without Miles Turner, Sabonis definitely does benefit. But, Sabonis hasn't played in almost 2 weeks, so there's a chance that even if he does play today, that he's on a minutes limit, so I don't even know if we would want to consider him. But if we get a scenario where Sabonis is out, Brogdon's out, Lamb's out, Goga's out, Then there's a lot to like from the Pacers. I think if Sabonis and Brogdon are both out, the first guy that I'll be looking to will be Karis LeVert. Without Sabonis and without Brogdon, he should just dominate all the usage, should play a ton of minutes, should take a ton of shots. This is a game against OKC that should stay close, so we don't really have to worry about blowout here. I would like a LeVert a lot if both those guys are out. As long as Sabonis and Goga both remain out, I still have a lot of interest in O'Shea Brissett. He continues to get massive minutes. Even in foul trouble last game against Brooklyn, he still played 36 minutes. Like, he's played at least 36 minutes in 4 of his last 5 games. As long as Sabonis and Goga remain out, I think O'Shea Brissett at 5,900 looks like a really good option. And then if Brogdon's out, TJ McConnell at 5,300 I would like a lot. We know McConnell benefits without Brogdon, should play probably 30-ish minutes off the bench. We know he's a really productive player when he gets minutes, so it's a wait and see now from Indiana. If all these guys play, I don't really like much from the Pacers, but if we start getting guys ruled out, if Sabonis gets ruled out, if Brogdon gets ruled out, if Goga gets ruled out, fire up LeVert, fire up Brissett, fire up McConnell. Those will be the guys I'd be looking to on the Pacers. And then, Edmund Sumner, Justin Holiday, not as interested in them, but still would at least be viable if all these guys are out. But I think that does it for the Pacers side. Now, looking at OKC here, talking about the Thunder, Lou Dort is going to be out for OKC. I don't think that really changes too much just because this OKC team, they do run a pretty deep rotation. They kind of just give everyone minutes. But without Lou Dort, you should see some more minutes for Kendrick Williams. You should see more minutes for Svi Mykhailiuk. We'll have to wait and see who starts. If they do go with Kendrick Williams in the starting lineup, he's only 3,900. He would probably play around 25 to 30 minutes if he does start. He's made some spot starts recently for Lou Dort, and he hasn't really been that good. But Williams has been, throughout his career, he's been a relatively productive player when he does get minutes. He is super cheap at 3,900, so he would be a viable cheap option if he winds up starting. If they go with Svi Mykhailiuk in the starting lineup, then you could definitely consider him for value. He's only 3,400. But outside of those two guys, I don't see too much I like from OKC. Theo Maledon, I think, does benefit without Lou Dort. He should be a little bit more productive. If you want to play him at 4,800, I don't mind that either. But I don't know if there's really going to be any core plays for me from OKC. Just guys that I would be considering in tournaments as lower owned pieces. I don't see really any chalk coming from the Thunder here. Darius Bazley should maybe benefit without Dort, but 6,400, he kind of feels priced appropriately in my opinion. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game. Look at New Orleans and Minnesota. So this is where I start to get a lot of interest. Especially a lot of these late night games are where most of my interest is coming on this slate. So we'll start off with the Pelican side here. You got Zion at the top for 9,900. I think Zion does look like a pretty good contrarian spend up. I don't see him being too popular today. He hasn't really been great lately. We haven't seen a good game from Zion in a while. He hasn't put up 60 DK points in literally 10 straight games. His best game was 55 against New York 2 weeks ago. But this is a really good matchup for Zion. Definitely one that he should have a ton of success in. This should be a very fast-paced game. I think Zion's going to be low owned today, so I do like him in tournaments at 9,900. Brandon Ingram at his price point, I don't have a ton of interest in. 8,300, I just never feel like I have to play Brandon Ingram when he's 8,300. He should be 7,500, if not a little bit cheaper, so don't really like him. Lonzo, though, at 7,200, I think is pretty appealing. He feels a little bit too cheap. We've been getting pretty big minutes from Lonzo recently. He's another, pretty productive player when he is on the floor, does average around a fantasy point per minute, if not slightly better than that. The matchup's really good. The game should be played at a very fast pace, which definitely benefits Lonzo. Zion and Lonzo I do like at the top. And then value-wise, we do have some value that I like from New Orleans. So Steven Adams has already been ruled out for today. He's going to be out again, which makes me look to a guy like Willy Hernangomez, 4,800 on DK. I like Hernangomez a lot for value, and then on Yahoo, he is also very cheap over there. Hernangomez coming in at $14. He's one of my favorite values right now. I think he does stand out as a top center value overall. Last game against OKC, Steven Adams was out then, and Hernangomez did start in place of Steven Adams, played 29 minutes, had 33 DK points. Against the Clippers, Steven Adams was out then, and Hernangomez started that game, played 31 minutes, had 33 DK points. Very likely that we get around 28 to 30 minutes from Hernangomez. He's around a point per minute player. We've seen him be productive when he does make spot starts. The matchup's really good against Minnesota. I do like Willy Hernangomez a lot today for value. I think he's one of my favorite values right now. Definitely stands out on both sides. So Zion, Lonzo, Hernangomez, my main interest from this Pelicans team. But on the Minnesota side, looking at the Timberwolves here, Karl-Anthony Towns, I do have interest in tournaments. Now, I think, in cash games, if I'm playing one lineup, I probably would rather play Jokic. I'd probably rather play Westbrook and Luka as well. But I definitely think Towns is a good spin-up option. Good matchup here against the Pelicans. Again, should be a very fast-paced game. Should be a high-scoring game overall. Should stay close as well. That's really all that we can ask for. We should get full minutes from Towns. So I do have interest in him at the top. Outside of Cat, though, I don't see too much else I like on Minnesota. Like Edwards at 7,400. Just feels priced appropriately. I don't think I really need to go to him at this price point. D'Angelo Russell continues to come off the bench, but he still should get probably, close to 30 minutes. The matchup's good. He does have a ton of upside here. I wish they would move him into the starting lineup, though. That would make me feel better about his minutes. But even coming off the bench, he should get at least like 28 to 30 minutes. The price is getting up there, though. He's 6,900 now. He doesn't really stand out as much when he was, when he was 6,100. I liked him a lot. Now that he's almost 7K, I don't think Russell stands out as good, I don't think he's like as good of an option as he was like a week ago. So really, I think Towns is he's the main interest I have from Minnesota, and coming from this team, he's the main guy that I'm looking to. Overall, outside of Towns, I don't see too much else I like on Minnesota or on the Timberwolves. So moving on to the next game, looking at the Wizards and the Mavs. This should be another game that we look to target two pretty fast-paced teams, at least on the Wizards side. Dallas doesn't play very fast, but Washington plays at a really fast pace. This is another game that should be relatively high-scoring, should stay close. On the Wizards side, pretty easy for me here. It's really Russell Westbrook and nobody else. Bradley Beal at 9,800. I don't really like it, his price tag. He just feels too expensive right now on DK. Westbrook, though, at 11K. Like, I'm just going to continue to roster Westbrook basically every slate. I mean, the dude's just been so good this year. He's been on another level. He's once again one of my favorite stud options today. Didn't really have that good of a game against Cleveland on Friday night, but we basically got a floor game from Westbrook, and he still put up 51 DK points. He only played 31 minutes. He did lose a good amount of time due to blowout. Normally, we get like 38, 40 minutes from Westbrook, but obviously the game was a blowout, so he didn't play as much in the fourth quarter. But we still got a triple-double from Westbrook. He still put up 50-plus DK points. I said it at the beginning of the video. Even when Westbrook has a bad night, he still gives you like 50, 55 DK points. And we know he can go out there and put up 70-plus any night. So love Westbrook here. He's my favorite stud option on the slate right now, and I think the guy that I have the most interest in at the top. Outside of Westbrook, though, I don't really like too much else on this Wizards team. So talking about the Dallas side here, looking at the Mavs, Kristaps Porzingis is currently questionable for the Mavs, so do keep an eye on this. He made his return last game against Detroit, but I'm pretty sure he got injured in that game, did not return, so maybe Porzingis could be out again. If he's out, I don't think that really impacts Luka too much, but that would maybe give us some value from the backcourt or from the front court. Maxi Kleber is also questionable, so like if Porzingis and Kleber both get ruled out, like I would assume Dwight Powell would start at center, which would make him a pretty good value at 3,300. You would get more minutes for a guy like, Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't think I really want to play him, but he'd be viable. Tim Hardaway Jr. had a career game last game, 42 points, 51 DK points. Obviously, Luka was out then, but if we don't get, Porzingis here, if Porzingis is out, that probably means that Tim Hardaway Jr. will move into the starting lineup, and he should get more minutes. Really, though, I think the main interest from the Mavs is coming in at the top with Luka. Now, right now, I think I do prefer Westbrook over Luka. I think I prefer Jokic over Luka as well. But this is a great matchup for Luka here against the Wizards. We know the Wizards play relatively fast. They haven't been that good defensively this year. Normally Luka's not a guy that I prioritize at the top, especially when you have Westbrook and Jokic. Like, I really do feel like, in terms of fantasy, like Westbrook and Jokic have just been on another level this year. Luka, though, we know has massive upside and can go out there and put up 60-plus any night. If you want to go to Luka, I think he is a really good pay-up option. This could maybe become like a stars and scrubs slate, depending on what kind of value opens up as the day goes on. If we do get a ton of value, maybe I'll look to stack Luka and Westbrook together. But for now, Westbrook is a stud. I think I'm going to be prioritizing. Luka would probably be like third favorite for me behind Westbrook and behind Jokic, who we'll talk about in a second. But that does it for the Mavs. Let's go ahead and talk about these last two games of the night. First off, we got Denver and the Clippers. So on Denver here, looking at the Nuggets, like I said earlier, Nikola Jokic I think is my second favorite stud on this slate behind Westbrook. Jokic, again, just been on another level this year, has massive upside. Had a floor game last game against Toronto, only 39 DK points in 28 minutes, but I would expect a big bounce back game from Jokic. We know Jokic can easily put up 50-plus any night. I mean, even on his bad nights, like that was probably one of the worst games you're ever going to get from Jokic, 39 DK points. Like normally, even on his relatively bad nights, like you're still getting 45, 50 from Jokic. Now, I think Westbrook I do prefer just because I feel like Westbrook's ceiling is a little bit higher. His floor, I think, is also a little bit higher. He probably plays a few more minutes than Jokic does. But good matchup here against the Clippers. A game that should stay close. I think Jokic looks like a great pay-up option, as he always does. Outside of Jokic, though, I don't really like too much else on Denver. Michael Porter Jr. at 8,200 is a good tournament play. He should be low owned, but at this price tag, he doesn't really stand out to me. Aaron Gordon's been terrible. He's tough to roster, even at 5,200. Like, I don't want to play Aaron Gordon. He's just been so bad. Campazzo you could maybe go to at 4,800. He should continue to get big minutes without Will Barton and without Jamal Murray. There's some other guards I think I'd rather play today that are cheaper. Like, we're going to talk about Malachi Flynn, who I like, but yeah, I think Campazzo is viable for sure if you do want to go there. Jokic, though, is mainly my main interest on Denver is Jokic for sure. Looking at the Clippers side, though, talking about the Clippers here. So Kawhi Leonard does have a chance to return today. Right now he's listed as questionable, but I'm pretty sure I saw reports that he's hopeful to play. So for now, I'm just going to assume that Kawhi does play, and if Kawhi is back, I have no interest in Paul George at his price tag. Kawhi himself, I don't really have interest in. Overall, this Clippers team is not appealing to me. Like, I don't really like anything on the Clippers. Maybe in a matchup against Denver, like against Jokic, you maybe see more minutes for Ivica Zubac. But like, he's only averaged 24 minutes per game against Denver this year. It just doesn't seem like they want to give him big minutes. So yeah, I just don't really like any Clippers today. Obviously, if Kawhi is out again, then yeah, you could go to Paul George. But at 10K, I don't think Paul George would look like a top pay-up option. There would be other guys I'd have ahead of Paul George. So really, the Clippers are probably just a fade for me, especially if Kawhi is back. Like, I don't really have any interest in any Clippers today if Kawhi is back. So talking about the last game of the night, Toronto and Utah, this is one that I surprisingly have a lot of interest in, even though it doesn't look like that good of a game, at least to target in terms of pace. This isn't going to be a very high scoring game, but both these teams are kind of shorthanded right now. On Toronto, Kyle Lowry, Chris Boucher, Gary Trent, Paul Watson doesn't matter, but Lowry being out today, I think definitely makes a decent amount of impact, or impacts a decent amount. So Fred VanVleet's the first guy that comes to mind, in terms of beneficiary without Lowry. We saw obviously Lowry have a good game last game when VanVleet was out. Now basically the roles are flipped. Lowry's going to be out, so we should expect VanVleet to benefit whenever Lowry is out. VanVleet normally does start at point guard, and he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Should get more usage without Lowry. We've seen VanVleet have big games in the past whenever Lowry has missed. Is 7,800. I don't know if VanVleet's going to really pop in projections today. I don't think he's going to be a guy that gets a ton of ownership. Like Lowry, last slate wasn't that popular. He was like 20-30% owned. I think VanVleet will probably come in around that number as well. So I definitely have interest in Fred VanVleet. I'd expect him to have the ball in his hands a lot without Lowry. I expect him to dominate the usage, him and Siakam. So I do like Fred VanVleet quite a bit. He's one of my favorite plays from Toronto. I do like him a lot on Yahoo as well. $32 at shooting guard. I think he looks like one of the better shooting guard options on Yahoo today. And then I'm assuming that we see Malachi Flynn move into the starting lineup again. Flynn did start in place of VanVleet last game. I would assume that today he'll start in place of Lowry. He played 32 minutes in the starting lineup. It was pretty productive. Did have 29 DK points. The price tag is still really cheap. He's still 4,300. I think Malachi Flynn, assuming he starts in place of Lowry, does look like a really good value play. He should play 30 to 32 minutes and should average close to a fantasy point per minute. So I definitely like Malachi Flynn as well. He's probably my second favorite play on Toronto, behind VanVleet. Siakam I'm not as high on. I probably would rather just roster VanVleet for a little bit cheaper. OG at 7K, I don't really like that much. Khem Birch, I could definitely see going to, though. Khem Birch has surprisingly been playing really well with the Raptors, and he had one of his best games last game against Denver. He did play 36 minutes against Denver, had 43 DK points. He's been really productive with the Raptors. Throughout his career with the Magic and now with Toronto, like, he's been a point per minute player. If they're going to continue to give him big minutes like they did last game, if we get 34, 36 minutes from Khem Birch, especially while Chris Boucher remains out, I think that's going to be the case. So at 5,300, I definitely like Khem Birch today. Choosing between him or Hernan Gomez, the matchup is better for Hernan Gomez, so I think I do give the edge to him. But Birch I do like as a cheap center option as well. My main interests from Toronto today are definitely VanVleet, Birch, and Malachi Flynn. Those are the three guys I like most from Toronto. I think Siakam, OG makes sense as as contrarian options, but the main three guys we talked about, those are the three I have the most interest in. Now on the Utah side, Utah should continue to remain shorthanded for today. I'm pretty sure Donovan Mitchell is going to be out again. Yeah, he's going to be reevaluated in a week. So right here it says he won't return until May 1st at the earliest. I would assume that he's probably going to be out again. So I'm expecting Mitchell to be out. Mike Conley, though, we don't exactly know his status. He was out again Friday with a hamstring injury. Given that it's a back-to-back, I'd assume that Conley's probably going to be out again. So if we do get Conley and Mitchell out again, I mean, we know who benefits. Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, Bojan, those have been the guys that have benefited without these three. And then Georges Niang definitely benefits as well. They did start him again on Friday night. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing. I will check the box score real quick just to pull it up. Last time I checked, he was having a pretty decent game. But it looks like it is going to be a blowout, sadly, because I played some Utah guys, which, God, that sucks. But Utah, it looks like that game is going to be a blowout Friday against the Suns. There's 4 minutes and 41 seconds left, and they're down by 23. All the starters have been pulled, but Niang did play 24 minutes. He had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block. Also had a turnover. So Niang didn't really have that good of a game Friday, but I think he did lose minutes due to blowout. I think really all the starters did. I'd assume that if Mitchell and Conley are out again, we do get Georges Niang in the starting lineup. How many minutes does he play? I would guess probably 28 to 30. He was on pace to play around 30 last game, had the game not blown out against Sacramento. He was on pace to play around 30 tonight, but it was a blowout again. As long as this game can stay close, though, I think we do get around 30 minutes from Georges Niang. At $3,700, he is still very cheap. I do like him as a value option, at least as like a first-look value. And he's also minimum salary on Yahoo, so I definitely like him over there as well. Niang's definitely someone I'm going to be considering today for value, assuming that Conley and Mitchell are both out again. And then Clarkson, Ingles, Bojan, I don't know if any of them stand out as like core plays for me today, but still viable for sure because obviously they all benefit without Mitchell and Conley, and those should be the three guys that take a lot of the shots, really do a lot of the heavy lifting in the offense. So I do like those three. Gobert, I don't think his role changes that much. So really, it's Clarkson, Ingles, Bojan, and Georges Niang, the 4 main guys I'll be looking to from Utah today. But I think that does it for this game, and I think that does it for all 10 games on the slate, guys. So, big Saturday slate, 10 games, but hope you guys did enjoy this breakdown. I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below before you do get out of here, and hit that subscribe button as well. Also, be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload, and you also do get notified every time I live stream. Now, like I said, guys, it's the weekend, so I probably will not be live streaming on Saturday, but I should be back, with another video for Sunday slate, and I'll obviously be back streaming on Monday. But best of luck, guys. Enjoy your Saturday. Have a good weekend. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight, guys. Peace.